Hello learners, in today's sessions we are going to discuss and learn about that India's evolving geospatial ecosystem. Now, geospatial, as we know, is not only about any technology or it is not only about satellite. Geospatial basically is that how we think spatially. As you can see here that in our brain, the hippocampus part, it gives the identity of a place. So, when you ask about a location, it is basically the hippocampus part of your brain which is active. The subculum give you the identity or the directions. If you want to go from a place A to B, it is the subculum part of your brain which directs it. The endothelial or the grid cell help you in identifying where am I. In a large area, if you want to identify yourself in the right, left or south, north, it is the endothelial part of the brain which works as a grid cell of it. So, please try to understand the technology has come here to help and improve the geospatial senses of a human being, which is being guided by the different part of our brain as I have already discussed. If we look into the geospatial evolutions of India, initially the explorers travelled here to collect the data, then came paper maps. Map, as all of you know, and basically it represents a ground on a piece of paper. From there it evolved the digital map. Now it is no more on the paper, it is not a static map, it becomes different layers, raster, vector form of the data, so that the geospatial from the map domain came into a part of the digital data. Then came using that digital data, you generate the informations for different purposes, economic purpose, environmental purpose, the social purpose, and it emerged as an enterprise which we call GIS and Geographical Information System. If we look into the preconditions of this ecosystem development, India has a long tradition of collections of the data. During the British period, there used to be a district gazetteer. Still now, in district you will get a district gazetteer, which collects all the spatial informations about a district. And for this purpose, we have some unique organizations like Survey of India, which is 256 years old, Geological Survey of India, which is 172 years old, similarly Marine Survey, Office of the Census, Indian Meteorological Department. In this development of the geospatial ecosystem, there are certain triggers at national level. In the entry of a computer in India is a trigger which took place in the late 1970s. The first remote sensing experiment took place in the end of 70s, which took place in Kerala for using a low flying the aeroplane for mapping the coconut trees. Then during 80 to 85, the India's total planning processes, the rural development processes, took the integrated planning the effort. When you say integrations, that means you need data or information from different sources. Then in search of that, the geospatial information systems came as a handy tool for that development. The Hanumantrao committee report, which emphasized on a data based the local level development planning, also an impetus for development of this ecosystem. And definitely the launching of IRS 1A in 1987 was the another impetus for development of the geospatial ecosystem in the country. Now, once this the IRS 1A was launched in 87, the focus became the data which the geospatially captured, how it can be utilized or can be showcased for different the socio-economic requirement of the developmental processes. So there was a proof of concept stage of the geospatial technology, where we have seen many applications for the socio-economic development have been used, and as a result currently there are many flagship program. At the backbone of that, the geospatial data and information works. As you can see here, that they are the infrastructure development programs like Amrut, the smart cities, similarly environmental program, different social programs. So this is the importance of the geospatial data or informations development in the the development of the nations, and this worked as a huge impetus for developing the geospatial ecosystem in the nation. Then once we collect the data or capture the data, the important thing is that we do not know that who is collecting what data and where it is available. So as a result of that, as a solution, the spatial data infrastructure came into vogue. By definition, it is a mixture of a technology, policy and the people, like the capacity of the people to promote sharing of the geospatial data through different levels of the government, private, non-profit sectors. It is simply the data infrastructure is something like as you go through a road, it is a hard physical infrastructure. Data infrastructure is the soft infrastructure. It provides the necessary the input or the data for improving the efficiency of a nation building processes, whether it is building road, making dam, making water available, or even for a tribal development. As a result of that, in 2006, India became a country where national spatial data infrastructure was developed. This was approved by our parliament, and as you see, the main component of them are the data, obviously, access to the data, interoperability of the data, and developing different data-based products and the governance of the data. The main component of this, the SDR, the National Spatial Data Infrastructure, as you see here, the policy, definitely the technology, the positioning technology, the GIS, remote sensing for capturing the data, for data processing, the technology, as well as the cloud computing, web-based technology, and so on, so as the technology develops. Then geospatial standards, then single window data availability and training. There are many important policies have come, started from this national map policy in 2005 to the data sharing policy in the data sharing accessibility policy of 2012, and in the recent the National Geospatial Policy in 2022, the National Space Policy in 2023, and so on. So this the development and the focus on data availability and access has not remained only at a national level. At a state level, there are many state spatial data infrastructure has come. As you can see here, that different level the state spatial data infrastructures at different state have been developed, as well as there are certain national center for excellence was the geospatial excellence was developed. As you can see here, these are in the IIT Bombay, the JICE hub, the IIT Kharagpur, Kumai University, and another 3-4 universities have developed. Now, if we look at into that the evolutions of the geospatial, initially it was more at a POC level, the proof of the the concept level. It was mostly used as a tool for planning, decision making operation, but more and more it is now going into a tool for improving the efficiency, the precision, the monitoring, and more analytical. That means not only the positioning the advantage of a geospatial, the analytical component of that to improve the precisions and the efficiency in the system is becoming the main focus into the geospatial ecosystem development. As a result, a big geospatial industry has emerged into our country since 2000. Another important development for a geospatial ecosystem development is a geodetic infrastructure development. In India, a national geodetic reference framework has been developed, which is having the horizontal reference frame being which is measured from course, and also continuously course is a continuously operating reference stations. There is a network of this course has been formed. Why this has been formed? As you know that when you measure a data from space, you have to georefer it, and as precisely you do the georeferencing, the more will be the accuracy of the data. In understanding that, this technology or the geodetic framework, the geodetic infrastructure has been developed. There is a national geoid model has been developed by Survey of India along with the IIT Kanpur. Digital elevation model, the digital elevation model have been developed. Why these are important? Because these are just like the highway as we made for the nation development. Once this digital infrastructures are available, this can be used for different type of the geospatial, the information generations needed by different stakeholders. That is the reason these are called geodetic data infrastructure. Another important data structure from the point of the digital, the geospatial is the National Geospatial Data Registry. Simply speaking, this is something like in the National Library of the geospatial data. As in a library, as you enter, there is a registry is available, you know that which book is available in which rack. This is simply the National Geospatial Data Registry provide you that capacity that the data is available with whom, where from you can get it, and this is an important aspects of the availability and accessibility of the geospatial data. Overall, with these technological advances, what has happened? We have improved the geographic and information processes at the acquisition level, the management level, and the information development level. For example, in the management and the information generations, there is a conceptual data model is developed, because why data model is needed. You get data from different sources, but for information generations in your area of concern, suppose you want to develop an informations for the hydrological systems. So you identify for your system interest of the systems which are the features, what are the relationship between them. That relationship is established at a conceptual level, then at a logical level, then at a physical level at the database level. How it helps? It helps you to get the data quickly, retrieve the data quickly, and as a result the efficiency of the total system gets involved, which helps in the data availability and the accessibility in a digital mode. In the digital mode, as you can see here, at the center it remains at the different servers, the web server, the application server and the database servers, and the internet helps in collecting them. So this is possible once you develop in your data model, which results into the data's interoperability. The data interoperability is nothing that that how the data from different sources talk to each other, and for that level they need different standards or the geospatial standards. Now, because of this development, there is a huge potentials of a development of the India's geospatial market, as you can see here. You can see that there is the geospatial market growth has gone progressively, and it is by 2025, as you can see here, 23200, that 1000 the crores of the market is being predicted. The different areas which in the thematic areas in which the market has developed, you can see here the largest is the water resources and the irrigations, the the buildings, the defense intelligence, the land administration, disaster management. So this is important for you to understand, because if you are working in a particular sector, you must know not only that how you can generate the knowledge there, but also you should understand now how this sector is important from point of view of a the market development in that sector. There are many the multinationals have come in these sectors as a result of that, and especially for the last two and a half decades. Many Indian companies have come. There are many geospatial startups have come. More than 2000 geospatial startups are there now, and they are in these areas, mostly the drone, the mapping, the the land marketing, locations, and so on. So overall, if we see this evolution process of India's geospatial data collections and the data usage has resulted into a large geospatial ecosystem. An ecosystem means where the different subsystems, like here in the context of geospatial, it is geospatial technology solution services, or the data, the geospatial data information utilizations, or our huge remote sensing program, then geospatial capacity building or the policy, how they interact among this. And as they interact more among them, the geospatial ecosystems also develop and ultimately contribute to the geospatial market development, and in that way it creates an enabling the conditions where when you study the geospatial science and technology, you become an important stakeholder and a participants into this entire geospatial ecosystem. So, learners, what you see today, we have looked into that there is Indian geospatial ecosystem developmental processes. What was the pathway? What was India's the strength, and how it has evolved into this, the evolution pathway? What are the different components of the Indian geospatial ecosystem, like geodetic infrastructure, which provide the strong soft infrastructures based on that the geospatial data collections, data management, data access, availability, and the information generation takes place. The policy, which basically helps in this entire process. Capacity building, which needs more and more people in these sectors. Technology, service and solutions, ultimately, which not only helps in the capture, the management, and the conversions of that, but how it helps into developing in geospatial market in the context of an economic development, the sustainable development, and ultimately the social development of an Viksit Bharat. Dhanabad. Thank you.